What's up, guys? Welcome to the Safe Continue podcast. My name is Ryan Robinson. This here is Tom Shelby.
Hey, guys.
Filling in for Shanee Howard this week is Cacodemon.
Yeah. The demon with the most.
The demon with the screaming.
Yeah.
Actually, Tom, this is really distracting.
I mean, you can take it down.
Nah, he's good.
I just thought it was funny.
It is pretty funny. How are you, Tommy?
I'm good. I'm tired
Yeah.
because we had a late night last night.
Yeah. What did we do last night, Tommy?
We played Erica,
Yeah.
the PlayStation 4 exclusive that was shadow dropped at Gamescom
Yeah.
by one Jeffrey Keeley.
Yeah. So it was about it was what, four of us all playing this FMV.
5 of us.
Was it 5?
Yeah, bro.
Well, I'll be goddamned, it was. So we're all playing this FMV horror thriller, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
I
had a good time.
Yeah, it was fun. Well, I believe that I feel like in my experience all FMV games are ripe for laughs.
I like when you price a game accordingly. You know?
Yeah.
That game
That feels like $10 well
for
spent.
$10
Yeah.
is a lot of fun with a group of friends.
Yeah.
I'll probably never play it again.
Yeah.
The acting and writing was not great,
No.
but it was still a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I mean, granted, it took some twists I didn't expect.
Yeah.
But overall, it was an enjoyably hilarious experience. And my favorite, I was talking to somebody the other day about how I enjoy things that aren't supposed to be funny but are funny, like Erica.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of shit in that game that's obviously not supposed to be funny, but was like very funny to all of us.
But there were some gross out parts that actually they got me a little bit.
Like what?
Like the whole show me how. Like, we won't spoil that.
Yeah.
But,
Shit.
Oh, that's good.
Shit.
It's fine.
I didn't get it on anything.
Just keep rolling.
I didn't get it on
Keep
anything
rolling.
important. I didn't get it on anything important. I spilled my Red Bull. For those of you who are listening to the audio-only version of this show, my Red Bull tipped over. Tom is mitigating the emergency. It's feeling really hard to focus on anything else until this is resolved.
The good thing is my bathroom is right here.
Sure.
We're in my bedroom.
Yeah. There's only a few times, I think, when we've indicated that this is being recorded in a bedroom.
Yeah, that we've broken the immersion.
Yeah, that we
Fucking studio.
that we peeled the curtain back.
This is not, in fact, a studio.
No. Well, I mean, it depends on how you define a studio, right?
Sure.
I mean, I guess by some definitions, this is a studio.
We're all right.
Yeah, we're all right.
We're
Tom,
all right.
Tom got that cleaned up, man. Tom, you are you're really fast on the draw with that towel. But yeah. So what would you say? It took us like 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours.
About 2 hours to finish that. And I don't know. It was fun making the choices. Although I feel like I liked the group element of Hidden Agenda a bit better, though. I liked us all having an opportunity to participate.
So
directly.
the biggest thing with Hidden Agenda is that everybody's voice is heard, whereas with a game like this,
Yeah.
everybody's voice is heard, but ultimately Ryan enters the choice he's going to enter.
Well,
right?
I just know. I guess.
I mean, no, you entered the choice that you thought was best suited for what everybody wanted.
Yeah.
But not everybody's always going to agree.
Sure.
So you had to do the coin flip in your head,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And then with Hidden Agenda, there's also the competitive element, if you want to call it that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Overall, a good time. I want to do more FMV games. I feel like that's a really good group activity.
I would like to get a group together because I've heard you say that Night Trap is a bad game. And I don't think Night Trap's that bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty fun.
I mean, bad and fun aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
I like some things that some would consider bad.
But what do you think is bad about Night Trap?
I don't know. I guess it's just I feel like honestly all early FMV games are just bad.
Yeah.
But I mean that doesn't preclude me from having fun playing them though.
Yeah. I just you're is certainly not the only person that I've heard say that. Like, I've heard a lot of people say that Night Trap is a bad game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, have you played it? Do you understand how Night Trap works? Like, it's not bad. It's
Well, I mean, that's it's subjective, right? Like,
Yeah.
I could understand how everything works and still think it's a bad game.
yeah.
But that being said, I think that any FMV game, like, I'm down to play it because, I mean, I have certain expectations where FMV games are concerned too. And honestly, I expect a lot of them. I will say this: I haven't played well, I guess in the year 2019, I haven't played a lot of FMV games lately. But in my experience, none of them have like particularly great writing. But at the same time, that's part of the fun to me. Like, I like cheesy shit like that.
Have you ever played Mega Race?
No, I haven't played that one.
Mega Race is an old PC game. If you bought a Packard Bell computer back in the day, it came with a lot of them. And it's a fun game. It's a car combat racing game.
Okay, I like those.
But all the cutscenes are FMV. You're on like this game show, like this Mega Race game show. All the FMV is just this really weird host guy talking at you, you know? Talking about the wonderful prizes that you're going to win and all this and that,
Sure.
right? And that actor is phenomenal. It's really good. Like, he is creepy as shit, but like, you can tell he's kind of supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So, I don't know how many. I'm sure a lot of people. I'm sure everybody knows this by now, but the original endings for the first Twisted Metal were all FMV. You can find those online. They're actually kind of fun to watch.
Okay.
But I think about like
Resident Evil FMV.
Oh yeah,
That was good.
That's good stuff. There's the one thing that always stuck out to me, and I guess it's really hard to articulate this or whatever, but there's a part where, like, in that FMV cutscene where the guy picks up the gun that has the hand still attached to it,
Yeah.
and then he's just like, and the camera stays on his face a little bit too long.
Yeah.
It's really funny to me. I like that shit.
Sure.
But I remember when I was a kid, I used to think all that shit was like, I thought it was the coolest thing.
Well, I thought they had done it all with computers. Like, I thought those were the graphics.
Yeah. Like, I remember Area 51.
Yeah.
And like that guy that pops up at first.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how did they do that?
Right. Revolution X.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to playing more games like that because I really like that.
Yeah.
But I just, I would never play those games by myself. Like, I can't see myself playing those games alone.
I will probably play Erica through once on my own to make all the choices mine.
Sure.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And do I recommend you pick up Erica? No.
Sure.
Unless you have a group of friends to play it with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's not like they were like, we're going to put this out $40. They're like $10. That's fine. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. But what have you been playing, Tom?
Honestly, not much. There is a game I've been playing that I've been meaning to bring up. I keep forgetting to. Hold on. I forgot exactly what it's called. It's called P1 Select.
Okay.
You heard of this?
Mm-mm.
So P1 Select, like Player One Select. It's
Sure.
a mobile game. By this dude, I can't remember his name, but he's made a lot of mobile games that people seem to like. So it's a dungeon crawler, right? It's like a turn-based dungeon crawler.
Okay.
And you've got two screens. On the bottom, you've got the dungeon from like an overhead perspective. And on the top, you've got a character select screen with 9 different characters on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every time you move in the dungeon, the character select moves in the same direction you did, changing you to that character.
Oh.
So you've got to move through the dungeon and get past enemies, all while keeping track of what character you're going to change to next to know what ability you will have on the next move.
Let me pull this up real quick.
It's quite interesting. It's quite good.
P1 Select, you say?
Yeah. And I think it's only $2-3, something like that.
Okay.
So I've been playing a little bit of that. I've been playing some Chaos Code, which is a game I never played last generation, and I've been enjoying that quite a bit.
Tell me about Chaos Code.
It's a fighting game. It's a 4-button fighter, but like it's a 4-button fighter best played with 6 buttons. So for those that don't know, when you have a 4-button fighter, a 6-button fighter, oftentimes you can play with 6 buttons or 8 buttons. And those extra buttons typically act as combinations of the standard buttons. And typically, for most games, I prefer to only use the actual buttons for the game.
Right.
So for Street Fighter, I only use 6 buttons. I don't use 8 buttons.
Right.
You know, for Chaos Code, your 6th and 7th button act as pressing both punches or both kicks, which is nothing more than just EX.
Yeah.
But it's like super convenient to just tap that extra button.
Right.
I don't know why, but it's a fun game. Super, super anime.
And who makes it?
I'm not sure who developed it. It's published by Arxis, but yeah, it does a lot of interesting things. Like you and I were playing Skullgirls last week.
Great game, by the way.
And I like Skullgirls because it does a lot of things that all fighting games should do.
Yeah.
Like for SPD motions, detecting that that's what you're trying to do and preventing you from jumping.
Yeah.
Right? Things like that.
Yeah.
Having to hold the start button in order to actually pause the game.
Yeah.
Things like that. And Chaos Code does a lot of similar things that I appreciate. So it's a fun time.
Yeah. I want to try. I want to try that. I want to play that with you.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else?
Not really. Nothing that stands out that I can recall.
Okay.
I haven't had a lot of time for games lately.
Sure. So Nightwolf came to Mortal Kombat recently. 2 weeks ago for those of you, for people who had the Combat Pass. And then about a week ago for those without. So I've been playing around with him, little bit here and there. And
does he have the shoulder?
He has a shoulder.
Okay.
So
does he have the uppercut?
Yeah, but it's like it's kind of a different version of that.
Okay.
But it still involves the tomahawk.
Okay. Green arrows.
Green arrows. Green. And he's also got a. I don't remember if he had this in 9, but he has also a green knife.
I don't think so.
So there's a
Doesn't sound familiar.
There's a combo string that ends with him like sweeping your leg with his arm, and then stabbing you in the leg with that green knife.
Yeah.
And then stabbing you a bunch when you're on the ground.
Yeah.
It's real cool. Overall, he's a pretty solid character. I'm putting a good amount of time in with him. I'm enjoying him. He's got what I consider to be the coolest windscreen in the entire game. So that's been doing a good amount of that. Also, recently became aware of the existence of the Johnny Cage announcer pack, so I'm trying to unlock that. It's not easy because it's not something you can just buy. You have to do something to unlock it.
I mean, SF5 has a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, you can't buy this thing, you know?
Yeah.
But typically after 6 months or so, they'll let you buy it.
Yeah. So it's funny because I thought about SF5 when I was playing, because when I went in to pay to unlock Nightwolf, I was thinking about how, oh, by the way, the combat pack includes his Mortal Kombat 3 skin, which I think is really cool. But when I put it to play in unlock, I was like, man, they sure have a lot of currencies in this video game. It'd be really cool if you could use one of those currencies to buy characters.
Yeah. And you can't?
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
So SF5, I don't know if you recall, started with 2 currencies. And like within the first month, they're like, nah, 1 currency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of, I wish that, because there's a point at which, like, because you get like so many coins for doing whatever, right? You get coins for basically everything you do in that game. and it gets to the point where you just have like a surplus, right?
Yeah.
And eventually you're gonna unlock you're gonna get everything there is to get in the crypt.
Sure.
Like as far as like skins and like they'll have like other things, like they'll have like
fatalities.
like they'll have that and everything, but like eventually you're gonna unlock everything that there is to unlock. And then at that point, like if you go into the crypt to spend coins, you're getting like fatality tokens or whatever. And
who the fuck cares about that?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is, it's funny because you also get fatality tokens just from playing the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but
and also you can just input the fatality.
Yeah. Which I remember back when I was a kid, and there were some fatalities that involved up inputs that were like, because I think back to when I was a kid, and like watching people try to put those fatalities in, they'd always be holding block and like they'd be ducking and standing up and everything. But now fatalities are just so easy to put in that like it's just those tokens just, I don't know. They
don't matter.
Yeah, sometimes I might use one just to keep from having to go on the internet to look up what the fatality is.
Sure, that makes sense.
Because
I feel like if you have a character that you frequently play, you probably have that memorized.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, and it just, I'm still very much enjoying that game. As you know, I've been putting some time into Guilty Gear.
Oh yeah. Guilty Gear Revelator 2.
Yeah. And I like that game a lot.
Fantastic.
It's one of those like
I've found more applications for Dust.
Yeah.
It's
one of those I don't know, it's one of those games that's just like once things it's just really hard to put down, I think. It's especially like with all the characters are just so interesting and cool that it's fun to just mess around with it.
I think Guilty Gear's strength is its characters, more so than other fighting games, right? Like you look at Street Fighter, like World Warrior, right? And they go, oh, you got this fucking monster and this fucking sumo dude, right? And like, okay, but you also have like Ken and Ryu, you know? But Guilty Gear is interesting in that like really no two characters are that similar.
Yeah, and like the concepts for all of them are just so outlandish and cool.
And people compare like Soul and Kai to Ken and Ryu, but like they're really not.
They couldn't because I think that like on a surface level, I think you take somebody who's never played Street Fighter, and like you look at them like that's just the same guy, right?
Right.
But like you look at Soul and Kai, like those two guys don't look anything alike.
Yeah.
They don't, because like that's another thing too, is that like at least they at one point Ken and Ryu had the same idle stance.
Right.
And it would be you could forgive someone for thinking like on a surface level like that looks like that's just the same dude.
Well, in Street Fighter 1 it was just a palette swap, right?
Yeah.
But
I think it was last week when I was over here playing Skullgirls.
Yeah.
And we did, I don't know how many sets on that.
We did over 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, Skullgirls, man. No, that's a game.
That's a game that like I don't hear a lot of people talk about. But it's just like it's such a good time. Like that game, that's like talk about like visually distinct and interesting characters. I think Skullgirls definitely has that too.
Well, I think
and it's the first referential fighting game I've ever played that like makes references to things outside of fighting games.
Shit ton of things.
Yeah.
Skullgirls, I was telling you, like I strongly believe that Skullgirls is the best Western-made fighting game.
Yeah.
And going back to what I was saying earlier, it does so many things that all fighting games should be doing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this small team can figure it out, and Capcom and NetherRealms can't.
Yeah.
You know,
and it just like it's a small game.
Also, Skullgirls is the reason that people are able to use their last generation sticks on current gen hardware.
Yeah. It's just like it's just the game is just so fun, and it has like a really cool like it just had a cool like presentation, a cool concept, and it feels good to play. Like it was a game that like I immediately felt familiar with when I started playing it.
Well, and you could very easily compare it to Marvel, you know?
Yeah.
It's very different, but there's similarities there to Marvel and to Alpha, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's just so fun to combo in that game. It's so easy to combo in that
Yeah.
game, you know?
Yeah. Um, I just think it's a fighting game that I think that people of all skill levels can like really have a good time with,
Yeah.
and that's that holds value to me as well. Um,
Also, you can play as Cuphead.
yeah.
So.
But yeah, also another game I've been playing was I got to play uh there's a game called Revenant from the Ashes.
Okay.
Um, I think the most common description I've seen of that game is Dark Souls with guns.
Yeah, that's what people have been saying.
Um,
That's a pretty new game.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. It's
I've heard people comparing it to Gears of War, but even like Gears of War without a cover system.
sure.
Uh,
Yeah, I guess I could see that too. It's I've had some fun with it, except they released an update fairly recently that caused the game to crash all the time, and I think they've since fixed that. But I kind of haven't gone back to it since.
I think the most interesting thing I've heard about that game is it is a procedurally generated game, and that it's difficult to tell that it's procedurally generated.
Yeah,
and I always feel like that is the biggest compliment to that style of game.
yeah. It's I would like to try playing it with other people because from what I understand, like that's really where the game's strength is like cooperating with other players, and but the whole matchmaking system hasn't been working for me, so I haven't really had a chance to do that.
Yeah, I think it's not on a lot of people's radar.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just like it's not so much like I can't find a game, but like I will try to find a game like an error pops up like for some reason like at times I don't know, it's weird, but yeah, so that's kind of what I've been up to. So I kind of wanted to kind of save this until Shanee was able to join us for it, but I think we'll just ask her about it when she
Get her input on it later.
Yeah, get her input on it later. But I guess what we'll do today, right now, is I wanted to talk about what you feel are the most important games of this generation.
To me or in general?
I don't think they have to necessarily be mutually exclusive. But like if you want to go with an especially important game to you, by all means. If you feel like there's a game that is also important in general, like by all means. I think we can do both. I had some that I think for me personally, I kind of went with games that were important to me.
Okay, let's go with that.
But so I have some here, and I think what I want to do is, since it's just the two of us right now,
yeah,
like I'll do one, and then you you do one. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the first I have Florence on here.
Really?
Yeah. So, I remember you. I don't remember if your recommendation to me for this game was on the show.
It was,
or when we were just talking in general.
I think I don't remember if I did a check it out on it. Yeah, I did a check it out.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was. Yeah. If you're new to this show, Check It Out was an excellent program that we since discontinued. But I remember when you did the Check It Out on it, and I was immediately curious about it, and I went ahead, and I think like that week I bought it. I think it was like $3 or something at the time.
Yeah, something like that.
And like play through it in like 30 minutes or so, and I just remembered like going through it. Like one of the things that like is really that really stands out to me in the game is if I can find it relatable, and the whole relationship experience, like that meeting someone for the first time, and immediately, and then clicking with them, and then having all these things go right between you two, and like everything feels great at first, and then that turmoil that happens, and just like the kind of the rise and fall like the kind of roller coaster that relationships can be sometimes,
Sure.
and then like
I mean, that's the whole thing, right?
yeah, and then kind of the introspection that happens as a result of those relationships.
Yeah.
Um,
My favorite thing about Florence was obviously the story that it tells, and it's a very simple story. It's a story that most of us have gone through, right?
yeah,
But like the way that it tells it and the things that it uses in game to represent real world things that really make sense.
sure.
So my favorite thing is like when they're texting each other
Hmm.
and like it's a puzzle.
Yeah.
And at first it's complex, but it gets
Yeah.
easier and easier
As they
time
get to
goes
know each
on.
other.
Like I like shit like that.
Yeah. Like finding tangible ways to kind of describe what it's like to grow closer to someone and also grow distant from them
Yeah.
is, it was an excellent direction to take that game. And it's the cool thing about it is there's no, like, you don't actually know what anyone is saying. You just kind of infer like kind of what's being talked about. You kind of fill in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's still, even still, it just feels so intuitive. And it, like, watching this person, like, kind of, watching her grow, like, throughout the course of, like, that 30 minutes,
Yeah.
it was impactful. And I haven't really played a lot of games where I felt like I was really experiencing the story with that person.
Yeah.
I felt like I was kind of I felt more like a passenger a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I really felt in this instance that like I was going through this with her, and that actually felt really good.
I think one of the most important things that a game like Florence does in this generation is it justifies spending a lot for what a lot of people would consider a little.
Yeah.
You're getting, like you said, about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer,
Yeah.
for like $4 or $5.
Yeah.
And I think to a lot of people, that's a hard pill to swallow. But
Yeah.
like, I think for the people that did, they're like, yeah, that was totally worth it. You
Yeah.
know?
Well,
in a way that like we don't see often. Like Journey did that for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that it opens up two different conversations, right? Like one, you have the whole money versus time conversation,
Right.
But then you also have
But it destroys that conversation.
yeah. But then you also have that whole conversation of like are mobile games video games, which
Right. Who the fuck cares?
and it's
When I play things like P1 Select,
yeah,
like I've not played anything like that on console.
yeah,
I'm not saying it's some fantastic game, but it's a very original idea that I've not seen done on a console.
Well, I think that like a lot of times, on the mobile platform, you see concepts that you wouldn't necessarily see on console.
Well, what's interesting about this though is like it could very easily exist on PlayStation or Switch or PC,
right,
but it doesn't.
yeah,
I don't know. It might. Maybe it does.
I have not seen it. I've not
Yeah.
seen. I feel like as much time I spent on Humble Bundle, I feel like Florence would have popped up if it were available. But then you have that reaction people have when they find out something is also a mobile game, and they just but I just
Downwell was mobile first.
yeah. But I don't know. It's amazing what you can accomplish, or like what kind of what you can convey in the course of 30 minutes that other games like couldn't get across in 15, 20 hours.
Sure.
And yeah, so that's Florence was a really important game, I think, to me.
So, I mean, we're just talking about current generation. We're not talking about specifically this year.
Yeah.
I'm going to go off of that. Also published by Annapurna, What Remains of Edith Finch.
Right.
To me, is one of the most important games I've ever played.
Right.
I love that game, and for a lot of similar reasons. But like, I like when a game takes a genre that is often frowned upon,
Sure,
and presents it in a new way that makes a lot of people like really get into it.
Yeah.
And Edith Finch definitely did that, right? It made walking sims a bit more interactive. It's still not Doom, right? Like it's still a walking sim.
Yeah.
but it's much more interactive than most others, and it tells a better story and is better written than most others. And you talking about Florence being relatable, like of all the stories in Edith Finch, I think most people can find at least one that really sticks with them.
Yeah.
And I really like that game for that.
Yeah, and I remember you showing, because I think that like I come to a lot of games kind of late.
Yeah.
That was one of them, and it was something that like I think that if you hadn't shown me that game, I never, like, I would know about it, but I probably never would have actually seen it.
Sure.
But
I mean, you've struck out with a lot of these games, right?
Yeah.
I've seen you play like The Vanishing of Ethan Carter,
Yeah.
and like, you know, everybody's gone to Rapture and like have high hopes for these games and then just really not feel them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and the thing about with Edith Finch is like you know how I like you've seen what happens to me at the end of The Walking Dead season 1, so you know how I am about like emotionally driven stories, and there are so many of those stories in Edith Finch, right? And like and some of them are like more kind of like readily apparent, like some of them are like really obvious.
Yeah.
Like but some of them are a little bit more subtle and nuanced.
Yeah.
Like the two of them that stand out to me, that really stood out to me, are the one with one of the relatives who like lived in a bunker for like 30
Walter.
Walter, who lived in a bunker for like 30 years, and then like he came out and
instantly dies.
yeah. And I was just like, holy, like it was just like it was like one of those holy shit moments where you feel that irony for that character.
But I feel like with every story in that, like they're all tragic, right? But like they're all also very beautiful and happy if you look at them in a certain way.
Sure.
Like even the saddest ones.
Yeah.
Even the one with the baby drowning in the bathwater, right?
So
like,
that
it is still a happy ending. Like, if you look at it correctly. You know?
Yeah. So like because I have a thing with like with kids or like and stuff like that. So like anything that happens with like kids, like it really gets to me.
Sure.
Which is weird because I'm not a parent, but like I still like I don't know, I like that really like invokes something in me. And like that one like specifically, I felt myself getting ready to cry.
Yeah.
Because like it was just like this whole like that was kind of what like made it more emotional, right? Because like the way the baby was seeing everything, like it was all like very like magical and and it, but at the same time, like you knew like what was going on, and it was just like, oh my god, this fucking baby, it's so sad. But like at the same time, it's just like it's really amazing and impactful.
I think the thing I appreciate the most about the game is it is the easiest game to show friends and family who don't play video games and think they know what video games are, to show them what video games have become, or what video games can be, at least,
right? Right.
And like, you can have never played a video game and very easily beat this game. Like it's not hard at all.
Yeah. And like it's weird because like it reminds me of how often I've seen the need to kind of justify the existence of video games to other people,
right?
Which is not something that there was a point in time where I felt an active need to do that, but I don't so much anymore. But at the same time, I do feel compelled to show like other people like who don't play, because there are a lot of people in my life who don't play video games, and I do feel compelled to show them things like this. I'm like, like this is like video games aren't all like.
For me, it's not justification. It's like, hey, look at what you've been missing out on.
Yeah.
And
I'm also like a firm believer that there's a video game out there for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that there's I feel like no matter what your tastes are or what your preferences are, like there's a video game out there for you.
Sure.
Understandably, not a lot of people, if you don't play video games, and you probably don't feel like going through the effort to find it. But yeah, Edith Finch.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Did you say it's also Unfinished Swan, right? It's
in the same universe as the Unfinished Swan.
Okay.
If you've played the Unfinished Swan, you will get more from one story in What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really
significantly more. Like the story in Edith Finch that involves the unfinished swan, I can't imagine you getting much of anything from it.
Yeah.
If you haven't played that game.
Yeah.
But you don't need to have played that game to enjoy Edith Finch as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Real quick, would it be fair to include remasters of last gen games that were released for this gen?
I think it depends on your argument for it.
Okay.
You know, like I'm not going to bring it up in this conversation, but like I would include the remake of Shadow of the Colossus because it takes an existing game, but even though it's not like a remake by any means, it adds significant things to that game.
Sure. Okay. The reason I ask is
but I mean, you know what? Include whatever you want to include. It's our show.
Oh yeah, that's right. It is our show.
Yeah.
Anyway, so another game on my list is The Last of Us Remastered. So there are a lot of reasons why that game is important to me, but one of the reasons I put it on here is because if it hadn't been remastered and re-released for the PlayStation 4, I never would have played it.
I think that's a lot of people.
And when I think about what I would have missed out on, like I'm glad that it happened. And it was a new game to me when it came out, and
it's new to me, damn it.
What was it? There used to be a television network, I think it was ABC, that was like, if I haven't seen it, it's new to me.
Sure.
But I mean, it's a game that there have been many conversations about, and but it's a game that also kind of, it's one of the few games that I've seen that treats where the protagonist operates in a sort of moral gray area.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times when you see a lot of games are like black, like this is right and this is wrong, and they present in a very black and white fashion.
Sure.
When you have Joel, who is like by no means perfect, and he admits that like he's been the bad guy before.
Yeah. He says it.
Yeah.
We're bad people, Tess.
Yeah. But he like there's a scene where like very early in the game where him and Ellie are driving, and like they get ambushed by those bandits, and
oh yeah,
and then Ellie asks him how he knew it was a trap.
Oh, and he takes that guy's head.
Yeah. Yeah. Ellie asked him how he knew it was a trap, and he's like, well, because I've been on that side of the fence before.
Yeah.
And but even still, like watching this relationship grow between this imperfect guy and this very lost and kind of still a very lost girl who's like kind of still learning about her because she's only 13 or 14, and like kind of trying to form like this relationship with like what moves from like kind of a transactional relationship and steadily evolves into a very emotional one, which is something that we've seen before in fiction.
Yeah.
But not necessarily portrayed in this light. And
I mean, it does, people always point to Enslaved Odyssey to the West.
Yeah.
As far as pulling from visuals.
Sure.
The Last of Us definitely took a lot from that game.
Yeah.
But like even from that relationship developing over the course of the game, I think The Last of Us pulls a lot from Enslaved in that aspect as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even still, like the I think like the combat always really stuck out to me too, because it's like it's so impactful, and like especially like the melee combat is just like just visceral and like brutal, and like really it's kind of like they like just the right amount of like camera tilt and camera shake, and like
I think it's easy to look at the game if you haven't played it and think this is a horror version of Uncharted.
Sure.
And it's not. Like the gameplay is quite different, And the gameplay for me isn't the best part of The Last of Us. Like, I actually don't think the gameplay is that good. But for me, the story carries it, and I think in performance capture for that game, because Naughty Dog does use performance capture as opposed to just motion capture or just voice acting, right? I feel like Naughty Dog has over time become the master of body language in video games. Ellie emotes physically in ways that characters don't do in video games. Like even now, even current video games, characters don't do that. You know, you look at like everything that the RE engine has done for Capcom, right? And characters still don't move as realistically as Ellie did last generation. You know, I think about my favorite part of The Last of Us is when spring begins. And Ellie's just gone through the whole winter section. So she's not feeling great. And you can see in her body language, in her movement, that like things are weird and off. You know.
Also, that goddamn interrogation scene is rad.
It is.
It's I don't know. I just think that it's like you don't. Well, first of all, like it's just like a world class like acting in that game, like because it's just like very well known, very accomplished actors in that game, and they all kind of just do an excellent job at like making the experience feel, making it feel like a really like a rare all the conversations feel real and organic, and it's just a really cool thing to be a part of, and and I think that honestly, there are things that I wish that video games did more of, but by and large, I think that The Last of Us for me did a lot of those things, and it also was that game served to give me one of my biggest accomplishments in video game that in my life, which is they added an extra difficulty for the PS4 release called grounded difficulty, which removes the HUD, rebalances weapons and everything. And it took me 2.5 weeks to beat that game on that difficulty. But I did it and I felt really good about it.
Sure.
Also multiplayer is surprisingly good. But yeah, Last of Us really important to me.
Okay. I've talked about it 1,000 times. Nier Automata, I think, is unfortunately a game that way more people will not play. And it's sad. Like, it sold a lot. I mean, relatively, certainly the best-selling Yoko Taro game, but certainly not the best-selling Platinum game.
Right.
And it's just... It is a masterpiece of a video game. And I don't say that about a lot of video games.
I've never heard you say that.
It is the most philosophical game I have ever played.
And I was going to say that because like on the surface, like you look at it and you're just like, this is a character action game.
Right.
Just like hack and slash action. That's it. And for some people, that's all it was. But, there are people.
But I think I don't think that's all it was for anybody who played it. For anyone who played it all the way through and got all of the endings, but
I don't think that was a large percentage of people.
No, I don't, and that sucks. It's sad. Like the game deserves more people's time. And there are not a lot of games. There are not enough games on this level. You
don't see a lot of times when you see games try to like tread into like philosophical territory, it seems kind of ham-fisted or like heavy-handed.
I mean, even movies, right? Even books, for that matter. But like, because it does the whole thing we've seen a lot of, like 1,000 fucking times. Oh, what does it mean to be human? And can an AI have feelings and all that shit, right? It does that, but we've seen that over and over and over again.
But
it does so much more than that. And like the smallest side characters have these things that will just keep you thinking for days.
Well, I think it's an interesting conversation to have, and I think that with the right vehicle, it can be very compelling. It's just a lot of people there aren't a lot of times where that conversation or that topic is really fleshed out in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
But then you have an experience like Nier Automata that allows you to see so many different perspectives uh, of this one like very general question.
See, and to me, it's always like there's always a compromise, right? I like a game for this reason, but this is lacking, you know?
Yeah.
And like the only thing that to me that is lacking in Nier Automata is the textures.
Sure.
You know, like from a gameplay standpoint, is it as deep as Bayonetta? No, but it's pretty fucking close.
Yeah.
You know, and from a story standpoint, it's phenomenal. Like it's just, and like it's an open world game, but you don't really think about it as an open world game.
Yeah.
You know,
Because it presents itself very linear.
it does, but like, I think it's because like the side quests matter. I talked about this a lot when we first started the show. Because I had just come off of Dragon Age Inquisition,
Mm-hmm.
which I never finished, but you did.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about Dragon Quest Inquisition is that we had side quests in a shit ton of other open world games like Fallout 4.
Sure.
My favorite one to point to is Fallout 4. Go paint this fence green. You should be finding your son,
Yeah.
but hey, go paint this fence green for me.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's a side quest in that game.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas Dragon Age Inquisition is like, hey, you need to do this because we need blankets for these troops. And, like, you know, like, the side quests made more sense.
Yeah.
And they were things that you would want to do.
Yeah.
Nier Automata has that in spades because it's like, I mean, yeah, the first side quest you have in that game is getting parts for a merchant. And that merchant has this story that, at least to me, blew my fucking mind, you know? And it's the first side quest of the game. Like,
Well, it matters because I was talking to my girlfriend about the Witcher 3.
The Witcher.
Hello, Witcher. It never fails. Every time someone says The Witcher, one of us does that. But no, like the side quests are like, these are things like all these side quests are things that you could imagine Geralt doing. Right. Like, but like when you have side quests like in Fallout 4, where it's like, I can't imagine someone who was frantically searching for their infant son to take time out to do this.
Right.
So when you have things like in Nier Automata, when you have meaningful side quests, which is, I think, like, side quests should be meaningful, I think, and not just used to like pad out the number of hours in your video game.
And most of the time, that's what they are.
Yeah, and so when you have like the rare surprise, we're like, oh, that's like that side quest is better than some of the main story content. That's really cool.
Right. And all my problems with Borderlands as a series, the reason I won't play Borderlands 3 is because the side quests are padding.
Yeah.
Padding something very shallow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Nier Automata is one of those games that I think that I feel like it succeeded despite its namesake because of, like, as far as I'm aware, I'm not an analyst. Feel free to correct me. You will. But not a lot of people played the original Nier.
No.
And so far as I can tell.
Or Drakengard for that matter.
Yeah. So it's just like, it seems like as far as many people were concerned, this is the first Nier game.
Right.
Or at least the first Nier game that they've ever heard of.
Well, and it stands on its own.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's and I think it's also a game that, like, I didn't know who Yoko Taro was before this game came out.
Okay.
And so now I am aware of him, and now I am like, now when I see his name attached to something, I'm like, let's see what this is about.
Yeah.
So that's that is a game that I should very much get around to finishing. I'm in possession of 2 copies of that game. So between the two, I should find a way around to it. So use the word masterpiece to describe Nier Automata, which I think is fair. So that makes me think of That makes me think of Red Dead Redemption 2. It is a game that I have personally referred to as a masterpiece.
I could certainly see why.
Like it's just like that I'm a fan of westerns, and like if there's a western movie or western game, I wanna look into it, right?
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time with I played the hell out of the first Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Hell, I played the hell out of Red Dead Revolver, which is again that has not aged great, but
Capcom,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it was originally a Capcom game that Rockstar took, and like when you played, like they were like, yeah, this is a Capcom ass game.
Yeah, because Ryu's there and there's Hadoukens in the West.
And there were a lot of one of the things that first caught my attention about Red Dead Redemption 2, besides its namesake and everything, was Arthur, who is the primary character in the game. He's just like I don't know what it is about him, but he is just such a depthful character, and he is just he's loyal, he's he's smart, and he's also very conflicted, because he's got this loyalty to his leader / father figure, Dutch, and like he watches Dutch, like he's sworn this like lifelong loyalty to Dutch, but then he watches like Dutch kind of unravel as things fall apart around him.
Yeah.
And he kind of just like he follows Dutch and like does what he says, but he still like has these you watch him like develop these doubts about him. And then you watch him with like the characters around him and how he interacts with people. And like some of the things he's like, and he has like some of like the coolest lines that like I've ever heard. Like you saw the one from the trailer. There's like, after he's like, after your mama's done mourning your dad, I keep her in black on your behalf. I was like, that's a cold ass line. That's a cold ass line. But it's just like the scope of the game, and like one of the things that people criticize the game is like its pace.
It's very polarizing.
Its pace and like how slowly things move in that game, which I feel is one of the game's strengths.
Well, I think it's funny because like people of our age grew up when, unless you were rich, a video game would last you for months.
Sure.
That's what you played for months.
Right. Right.
And my kids grew up with a dad who's got hundreds of video games.
Yeah.
And like their ability to stick with a game for longer than a few weeks, it's rare.
Yeah.
So I think like I don't want to like say it's just an age gap thing.
Sure.
Because I've met people our age that hate that fucking game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you're just more apt to enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, it's a game that like I put, because I think that if you just mainline the story and like don't do anything else, just mainline the story, you're still gonna get like 60 hours out of it.
Right.
But like it's a game that like I played and played and played, and I was like, I like held off on doing story. I was like, I don't want this story to end.
But like, I guess what I'm saying is like, I think oftentimes we look at it as like, what's the rush?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's your leisure time. Who cares if this game lasts you forever?
Yeah. But it's just like the game, I feel it's just I don't know, it's a beautiful game.
It is very beautiful.
And it's just like the way everything just feels real. And I think that's to some people feel that's to the game's detriment.
Right.
But it was so much more engrossing to me because of it.
A lot of people called it Cowboy Simulator, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't blame them. Like, that's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, but like
Yeah.
Hollywood Cowboy Simulator
Sure.
is pretty spot on, right?
Yeah.
But like, it is a gorgeous game. A lot of the things that Rockstar did with it are like phenomenal and kind of mind blowing, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not for everyone.
Yeah, and I think back a lot to when I was a kid and when I had no concept of how video technology worked or progressed. Because like in my mind, every new console that came out, this is gonna be the last one. They don't get any better than this.
I mean, I've talked about it here. I thought that with Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
I was like, video games will never look better than this.
Like, how could they?
Which is funny because a lot of them already looked better than that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think back to a time when I thought Mortal Kombat 4 was a gorgeous game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but like, I think back to a lot of times where I thought things like that.
Yeah.
And I play a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, and I just like it. I thought I had a pretty good grasp on what they're currently capable of creating in video games. And when I look at games like that, I'm like, how does this game exist? And like,
It's because Rockstar is one of very few companies that can put that many years into a game, because that game was in development for a long time.
Like almost a decade.
They can put that much time into a game and see a return on their investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I find like it's
because even Red Dead 2, it didn't blow up the world, right? It wasn't GTA 5, but like that game is extremely profitable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna get into whatever Rockstar's labor practices are. Like, that's not the conversation I want to have. Because that was something that especially blew up around the release of this game.
Same thing with Mortal Kombat 11.
But and I'm not trying to be dismissive. It's just not the conversation I want to have right now. I see that game, and like when I think about that game, like it's a game that it's a world that I always want to inhabit, and that doesn't happen often with me. And there are certain points where like I'll like I just want to finish this so I can get on to the next thing.
Yeah.
That happened to me with God of War. Like at some point I was like
And it's funny because for a lot of people that's their game of the generation.
Yeah. But it's just like he's not as yelly anymore, but he's still pretty yelly, and this is not.
That's what I want out of him.
Yeah. But and I'm not saying God of War is a bad game.
I don't want Dad Kratos.
A lot of people seem to love Dad Kratos for some reason. Well, he was always Dad Kratos.
I know, but I want like bad Dad Kratos.
Yeah.
I want Kratos.
I want questionable Dad Kratos.
Yeah. I want banging two chicks on a Friday night Kratos.
Well, I mean, that Kratos is where Atreus came from, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Atreyu.
Yeah, but I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game that I'm going to like. I feel like what's crazy to me is that 10 years from now, that game is going to seem antiquated.
I don't think that's the case.
Well, not necessarily 10 years. I'm using a number.
Eventually.
At some point. But like the idea of that game ever seeming like antiquated or like, you know what I mean? Like, because the game, like but then again, like by the time I say that, or the time people think that, like, it will be like other. Like, that game will be someone's Mortal Kombat 4.
Right.
You know? But yeah.
And that's the problem with going for realism.
Yeah.
At least in this industry.
Yeah. Well, as much as I've said that games don't need to look better because that's not video games' main issue, that game does look really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2.
I think Gravity Rush as a series is like, it's a very sad thing. Like, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people that love Gravity Rush.
Yeah.
But like, I almost feel Vita hurt it. Because Gravity Rush was a Vita exclusive, right?
Right.
And this is back before PlayStation 4 launched. And then PlayStation 4 comes out, and they're like, Gravity Rush remastered for console.
Right.
And at that point, nobody really seemed to care.
Yeah.
Whereas if Vita was more successful, or if they had just launched Gravity Rush on PS3,
Yeah.
I feel like that franchise. I feel like that franchise would be in a much better place than it is. That said, like I think Gravity Rush 2 to me is the best Sony first party game this generation. I think it's better than Uncharted 4, what I've played of it, or Until Dawn. Well, Until Dawn is not first party. Like, but any
Sure.
Sony first party game, I don't
Sure.
think any of them are as good. I guess like I even look at it. I hold it in higher regard than I do The Last Guardian, which is saying
Really?
a lot because I love Fumito Ueda.
Yeah.
You know, and they're both Japan studios. It's not the same team.
Yeah.
Gen Design, which is not Sony owned, but yeah, it's interesting because like that is such, and I hate using the phrase, but sometimes it's the best way to describe it. Like Gravity Rush 2 specifically is such a triple A ass game.
Yeah.
You know, like it is gorgeous to look at.
Yeah.
So much more than the first one. I already thought the first one was a pretty game.
Yeah.
But it is gorgeous to look at. The UI is fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
The music's great. The voice acting's great. The gameplay's great. Like, it's just... And it's so cool. Gravity Rush, to me, feels like it should have been a Sega game.
Yeah.
Like
It
it
looks
feels
like a
it
Sega
should be a
game.
fucking Dreamcast game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing like it now. People don't make games like that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I miss that time in gaming. I miss those Dreamcast ass games,
Sure.
you know?
Well, I mean, we've talked about how last gen was when we got the most new stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And it feels like that. It feels like something ripped from a certain point in time
Yeah.
and like preserved for today.
Yeah.
And we don't get enough of that, you know?
Yeah. And it's sad when you have a game that is that well put together and just, you know, it just gets lost in the noise, you know?
It's like Nier Automata. It's another one of those things where like there's a core group of people who really love that thing a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not enough people will ever play it.
Yeah.
You know?
And, you know, it sucks because you want to, like if you're one of the people who these games resonate with,
Yeah.
then like you almost feel like this is something that happens with me, right? Like where there's a game that resonates with me, but I know that no one is playing it.
Right.
Then I feel almost like responsible for like at least being like, hey, you should really check this game out.
Well, and I recommend these games to people here and there,
Yeah.
right? And some of my friends will play them, some of them won't. But like to me, it's more like I feel bad for them
Because they missed out.
Yeah, it's like you played X, Y, and Z game, and you thought those were good. Like,
Yeah.
fuck, you're really missing out.
Yeah.
You know.
I think that because I think
Especially
about
like our Discord, Gravity Rush makes me think about our Discord because and I know like Corey, I'm sure has played Gravity Rush, you know, but like there are a couple of people in our Discord who like I know they're into some old school Sega stuff.
right.
I'm like, fuck, you need to play this, man. You need to play this.
Well, it makes me think about how this is an analog that I draw from. So when I was a teenager,
Yeah.
all I ever wanted to listen to was new metal. That's it.
Right.
Because all other music was garbage. I had decided that, right? I don't want to
course.
listen to anything else.
We both held that.
Yeah. But then I got older and I realized
You were right.
another 20 years of corn.
Yes, please. Mark me down.
But then you realize like how much shit have I missed out on
Yeah.
over the years because I just refused to
Right.
like get out of that, you know?
Yeah.
And then like the same thing goes with video games, right? Like you like this is the kind of video game that I play
Right.
and that's it.
Right.
And like so you think about how many video games that maybe you're not missing out on now, but like video games that you could have missed out on like maybe 10, 15 years ago just because like this is the kind of game that you play.
Well, and I found that more recently. Like over the past few months, as I embed myself more into our local FGC,
Yeah.
there's so many people that like they play fighting games and nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
Like, man, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, because it's just like there are so many like awesome experiences out there.
Yeah.
And like just missing out on those because it's like those games that where you play them and then when you're done with them you just come away with this like I don't have the word for the feeling, but you know what I'm talking about. And to willingly like miss out on that, like, and what gets me is like I have friends who like it is such a pain to get them to try anything. Like, check out this show, check out this movie, check out this game. Like, it's just such a pain to like get them to do it, and for reasons that like I don't understand.
Right.
And it also comes with like wanting to have these conversations with people, and you feel like you can't have these conversations. Like, I want to have the conversation with you so bad.
Well, yeah, like I've been wanting to talk to you about Nier Automata since I finished it.
It will happen, but you made the mistake of making me really, really like fighting games.
Sure,
so it's gonna take a bit.
Right. And then like Gravity Rush, unless I go seek somebody out, I'm just not going to have anybody to talk to that game, talk about, that game with. But like, I'm okay with that. In a lot of ways, I think of like Gravity Rush and Under Night in Birth in the same way, in that like those are my secrets, know, like that I'm part of some exclusive fucking club that you'll never get in, know, like I know it's a stupid way of thinking about it, but like it feels that way,
Yeah, I'm in the elite dangerous club.
Yeah, exactly, right. But like even that though, like you are at least maybe only surface level a part of that community.
Yeah.
You talk to some people about Elite.
Yeah.
I talk to nobody about Gravity Rush. You know?
Yeah.
Because there's no one to talk to about Gravity Rush. But yeah. Also, really good little animated shorts that take place in between those two games.
Yeah. Oh, also, I meant to bring this up when you were talking about Nier Automata.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if I showed it to you or not, and I don't know if I know about it because of you, but I don't know how I started following this Instagram account, but the whole account is just weird doodles of 2B and 9S. Like in different situations, just like these weird.
I don't know.
Doodles.
I mean, I follow like the Save Continue podcast Instagram account follows the Yoko Taro hashtag.
Yeah.
So like most of that I've probably seen.
Yeah.
But
it was just like you go down the page and it's just nothing but like there are like thousands of doodles of 2B and 9S like doing different things, or like they're like different animals.
Yeah.
Or like sometimes I think one time they were dinosaurs.
That's weird.
But you knew it was them because they had the hair and the blindfold.
Sure.
So I would be remiss if I didn't mention No Man's Sky, and I'm going to tell you why. So I like space shit.
Right. So do I.
Yeah.
I think we like different space shit is the problem.
Yeah.
You like flying the spaceship in space on planets.
Yeah.
I like Alien.
Sure.
USG Ishimura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that stuff too. But it wasn't the thing about it is like so I had this weird inverse of that whole exclusive club thing, where it's a game that I have loved since August of 3 years ago.
Right.
And it's just a game that I just never stopped loving. Like I wasn't blind to its problems, but I love that game. And
see, that's what I liked about you though with a lot of this stuff is like you are one of the only people when that game came out, and I didn't like No Man's Sky, but I wasn't gonna like it regardless of what it like even if it was everything Sean Murray said it was.
It's just not your game.
It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Right. You were like, okay, well, he lied about this stuff, but like I'm still really having fun with it.
Yeah.
And it's
is like that's what's important.
And
right?
I think a lot of people were just blind to that. They were like, he lied about this shit, so it's a bad game.
Yeah.
I don't think No Man's Sky is a bad game.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
Right. But like it's important to me because there have been so few instances where I stuck with a game consistently over a period of time and watched it grow.
Yeah.
A lot of the time what will happen is I'll step away from a game for a long time and then they'll add something to the game.
You'll come back and it's unrecognizable.
Yeah. But like I've been playing that game consistently for 3 years.
Yeah.
And watching that, like being there to watch that game grow in real time has just been like a really cool experience.
Yeah.
Which is not one that I can imagine being replicated specifically for me. Because there's just not many games do that for me. But you know, like I felt like I said I was talking to like I feel like I'm in the inverse of that exclusive club because like everybody was like the conversation was so all about how shitty Sean Murray
Right.
is and what this game turned out to be.
So you feel like you love the thing everybody hates.
Yeah, and it's weird because even 3 years later, that's still the conversation.
Yeah.
Right, and like, you know, like people like, and my whole thing is that like, and I'm not saying this is an opinion that anyone else has to share. It's just me, but my whole thing is just like, I feel like if you're still mad about that, it's kind of time to let it go.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I just like,
even if you pre-ordered it and like wasted $60 of your money,
it's like if you're still hanging on to that, like,
yeah.
And it's just like because like I see stuff like because like pretty frequently the game goes on sale for like $25.
Yeah.
And it's like still not worth it. Wouldn't be worth it if it was down to $5. Like you're fucking shut up.
That's like SF5, man. Like in all these FGC forums, that's like 90% of the talk is how much people are pissed about Street Fighter 5. I'm like, dude, you didn't have to be playing it these past 3 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You could let it go.
Yeah. And I look at this conversation and like I guess like I started thinking like a lot of it was like you haven't actually played it. You were echoing the sentiments of other people.
Sure.
Which naturally I'm not an idiot. I don't think that's everybody. But I think a lot of people are doing that.
Well, I think a lot of it is people like myself though. Like, have I played No Man's Sky? Technically,
yeah.
Sure, I've played like an hour or two of it.
Yeah.
But like for me, it's like I know what is not in that game.
Sure.
And I know what was promised to be in that game.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
I think that opinion's still valid.
Yeah.
But also, it's been 3 years. Shut up.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, like, and you know, and I'm not gonna, and I'm trying to be very careful about getting into a conversation about, you know, what Sean Murray said and all that stuff,
right.
And how he has been, because I have a very high opinion of that guy, but at the same time, like my whole thing was like to your like again, like was this game what he promised? No, but I'm having a hell of a time with it. So who gives a shit?
Right.
But like it's important to me because like I watched it grow in a way that like I don't ever watch any game grow, and it's allowed me to do things in video games in that game that I've never been able to do. And like there's all these little things that I've been able to do separately in other games,
yeah,
but nothing that I've been able to do in concert in one game, and that really resonates with me in a really, you know, in a really big way. And that sense of like that whole sense of being just this like this just well, I used to have this sense of being this lone guy in like space and like just I'm just like by myself all the time. But now there's fucking people flying all over the place now, and it's just kind of
yeah.
But it's watching like that just day one, August 2016. All the way to August of 2019, it's just been an amazing thing to watch, and I think that when games can like, because not only is the game now everything that was promised 3 years ago,
right,
but now it's even more than what was promised.
Sure.
And watching because I've watched the opinion of that game I've watched that ship turn around. Not unanimously, obviously, because you still have it's always going to have its detractors no matter what. But I guess it was less about this time it's less about the game to me and more about how I found an attachment to something that was so profound that it like I felt like a personal relationship with the game that like I don't really feel often.
I think that Death Stranding is going to be similar, and I worry for it because of that. Like, I think so much has been hyped up,
yeah,
and people think that they know what this game is, or don't think that they know what this game is and have ideas of what it should be.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people are going to be disappointed when it's not that, and you're going to have a lot of haters because of that.
The most disappointing thing that I've heard about the game so far is that you can't see Norman Reedus' penis when he goes to the bathroom.
Sure. That said, I mean, I still am excited for the game. I think I've figured out what the story is. I think I've even figured out what the ending is.
Yeah.
But
we'll see. Like, here is my thing about that. What's not to be excited about? You know what I mean?
But I don't think that's it. I think that the thing is, and Kojima has promised very little with this game, right? Like literally promised very little with it. And he hasn't said that combat's going to be this or that or whatever, right? But like, I think because they've shown so little, people will form these ideas of what they think that game should be based on the marketing of that game and based on Metal Gear Solid as a franchise.
Right.
I think people have an idea of what Death Stranding should be, and when it's not that, people are going to bitch about it.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
No, that's going to happen. That's absolutely going to, because like, look at the conversation around the game, right? It's like the moment someone utters the phrase, like I'm worried about this game or I hope it's good. I feel like a lot of times when people say that, they've got an image in their head about what this thing is.
Also, Strand on Your Feet, it was fucking hilarious.
What is that?
Jeff Keighley, when he introduced Hideo Kojima at Gamescom, told everybody to strand on their feet. And I spit out my soda.
Was that intentionally?
Yeah, it was intentional. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm still super psyched for it.
Yeah.
Even if it is literally nothing but delivering those packages, I'm cool with that.
Well, I love games
but
I love, like, I've been saying this for years, and I feel like at this point I got to learn how to make video games so I can make this game myself.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is, but I love the concept of a video game that is nothing but delivering stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I play so much American Truck Simulator. But I just, like, my excitement for the game is I want my curiosity sated. Because this game has been so, like, it's been spoken, like, there were points in time where I started to doubt, like, is this actually a video game? It was like, this is a real game. But like, there is, like, so much of this game has been spoken about in the abstract.
Yeah. That,
like, I'm just curious as to what it is. I just want to see it.
I was that until recently, until the Gamescom footage. But like now I'm like,
I haven't seen that. So
now I'm like, I think I know what the big twist in this game is going to be, and I'm curious to see if I'm correct.
How long do you think that game is?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on how much cutscenes he wants to put in there this time.
Sure.
Because that could add 50 hours. You never know.
I will say this. I've never played a Hideo Kojima game that I didn't like.
Same.
So I've got no reason to.
But I still haven't played Snatcher.
Oh, I haven't played Snatcher either.
Hello, Snatcher.
Hello, Snatcher. The Snatcher 3.
Yeah. Wild Hunt.
So, did you have another one?
No, I mean, I could go on, but like,
I got a whole list that I want to work my way through. I've got a couple more on here.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay.
Well, let me give you. I wasn't gonna do it, but let me throw it out there. Everybody knows I love Shadow of the Colossus. I'm gonna throw this one out there. Okay.
Sure.
Blue Point's Shadow of the Colossus, to me, is very interesting in that Shadow of the Colossus was already a game that just had a ton of mystery to it.
Yeah.
It had secrets in the game that had not been proven until 10 years after the game's initial PS2 release.
Which is amazing.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
You know? And I think Blue Point adding more mystery to it that has still yet to be solved since that release is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say. What are the goats? You know?
Sure.
We're never going to know.
Tom,
we'll know in 10 years.
We need, after the show, we're going to need to see if someone has already purchased the domain whatarethegoats.com.
Sure.
See if what are the goats.biz.
Yeah.
But
well, like Secret Seekers was like a society of fucking Shadow of the Colossus secret seekers that existed for like a decade.
Yeah.
A group of people like we're just dedicated to finding out the mysteries of this game.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts to me. And the fact that that Blue Point has added to that in 2019, where everyone knows everything about every game, I think is phenomenal.
I wonder what it's like to have created something like that.
Yeah.
Right. To where like you're like all the where everything is.
Someone knows what those goats are.
Yeah. And like to like you're the one who created that, so you're just watching all these people speculate on this thing, watching them all be wrong, and that's like that would be endlessly
laughing in your fucking castle.
That would be endlessly entertaining to me. If I had the mind to create something intricate and hard to figure out like that, I would love that.
Yeah, you've made something that the internet has not found out.
Yeah, which is hard.
Yeah.
So I have the I'm gonna save the best for last, but the next game I have on here was Monster Hunter World.
Okay.
So that game was, I feel, important because for the obvious that it brought a lot of people into the Monster Hunter
world.
Damn it. It did. But it was so much. It has it has a lot of I feel like it has a lot of meaning beyond that. I think that it's a game that kind of helped to really secure the future of that franchise in the West. And also really the main reason it was so important to me is just because like I played that game for, I think I have over 500 hours in that game. And I think that while this could have happened with a number of other games, it happened with this game, so it's important to me. I bonded with people a lot over that game. And it's just people that I've hooked up with and gone on hunts with.
Yeah. And
like we just bonded a lot and like became closer as friends, like while killing these giant monsters.
Sure.
And it's it was just something. It's something that I'll probably always remember. That's like when I think about that game, I think about certain people that are very important to me, and that's like just this lasting effect that it's had. But it's also been a game that I have. It's one of the few games in my life where I feel more knowledgeable about it than the people that I'm playing it with. In some cases, right? And I don't get that often because I'm not the most knowledgeable person about a lot of the things that I like.
Right.
But Monster Hunter, I know a lot about goddamn Monster Hunter.
I mean, I think that's it too, right? Like, I've always, any game that I could gain a mastery over, I've obviously have been quite into.
Yeah.
And like, it's rare that you find a game that you feel that confident in yourself about.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where I kind of just I feel so confident in what I'm doing, and
also it's got The Witcher.
It has got he's kind of the worst part of the game.
Oh,
he's
my bad.
The addition of The Witcher is not.
I think it's got Chun-Li. So that's cool.
No, but it's got Sakura. So
it's got someone else.
And Ryu.
Okay.
Those are the only two Street Fighter characters that I am aware of in that game.
So no Blanca, huh?
Like, surprisingly, no.
Seems like you'd fit right in.
Yeah. Just do that, like, that fucking ball attack at the monsters.
Blanca Ball.
That game needs more M. Bison.
Yeah.
Or Nemesis. I would love Nemesis in Monster Hunter, either as an antagonist or a protagonist. But no, I've bonded a lot over that game, a lot with people over that game. It's a game that I've played like hundreds of hours with my girlfriend, and
I think Monster Hunter World is just an interesting game, whether you play it or not. The fact that it outsold Resident Evil 5 is still mind-boggling.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's their best-selling game now.
Mm-hmm. And here's the funny thing about
more than any Mega Man, more than any Street Fighter.
It's not even is as accessible as Monster Hunter World is. It's still got so much unaccessible shit about it.
Yeah.
Or inaccessible is the word I meant to use.
Well, I think like as weird as those games have been, like streamlining it a bit was a good idea.
Definitely.
Obviously.
But
And like, even if you do that a bit, there's still gonna be some weird things.
Like there's still like all this like other like meta game to figure out, like even beyond that. But it's just like it's important to me because I want Monster Hunter to continue to come out in the States.
Yeah.
Like I want it. I want that to happen.
Like, there's no question about that.
Yeah.
They always have.
Yeah. But I always felt like it was such a what's the word? Niche kind of like subset of the community.
Yeah.
That I wasn't sure if like they would keep happening because it just doesn't seem like, especially if they were for as long as like if they were gonna, because I was like, are there just gonna be DS games forever?
Yeah. Well, they were PSP games forever too.
Yeah. But I'm really glad that game came out. Like talk about getting your money's worth for a game, man. Like I can't think of any other game that I've put 500 hours into, but I've really enjoyed my time with it, and I think that I'm really hopeful now for where that series is going to go. But I want more Monster Hunter clones to come out. Like I love Monster Hunter, but the thing is, like with every Monster Hunter clone that comes out, I play it, and then I'm just like, I still like Monster Hunter better.
I think the problem is like the good ones were all trapped on consoles no one owned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that one on Vita?
Freedom Wars.
Yeah. That game seemed cool, but I don't have a Vita.
That game was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'm not even that big into Monster Hunter,
Yeah.
But yeah.
And lastly, I have on here Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. We've already had like a million conversations about Hellblade, but I still felt like it was a very important game to come out, and I feel like it also came out at the kind of the right time. I think one of the things that like I've said before, is this like impactful stories, like really are something that I really gravitate toward, and like I loved my time with that game. And I think that if it weren't for that game, I gained a deeper appreciation for storytelling in video games, and not just like direct storytelling, not just like direct narrative storytelling, but also like environmental storytelling. Like that's something that like I like after playing that game, I'm like, because there are so like what Ninja Theory was able to do with that game, and like with such a small budget, and the way that what they were able to do with those environments, to have like those environments tell a story of their own. And
it's funny to me. I love Hellblade, but like I watched the development of that game over the course of a couple of years.
Yeah.
Ninja Theory was very open with the development of that game. In fact, they documented the majority of it, you know. And like sometimes you don't want to see how the sausage is made.
Sure.
Sure. I really love the game still, but like you're talking about the environment specifically.
But
I think the environments are great, but when you know how those environments were built on the cheap,
see, that makes
it peels back the curtain a bit.
Yeah.
That
makes it more that enhances it for me, I think.
Yeah.
Because when you have, like, let's say Ninja Theory was working on a budget of, let's say, the same budget as Red Dead Redemption, right?
Right.
Then it would be no wonder that.
Well, no. See, my whole thing with it though is like it's a smart way to make games. I think that Take-Two and Rockstar and like Activision and all these games should be making their games the way that Ninja Theory has.
Yeah.
Because you can get the same results with less money and less work,
right?
And not, overworking your employees.
Sure.
You can get the same results. Not to say that Hellblade is anywhere near the scope of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Sure.
It is not. But visually,
sure,
you can achieve very similar things.
It's a beautiful game.
In a much cheaper way. I think that all game developers should take from that, and they won't, which is kind of dumb. But that said, it's one of those games that I really do love that game. it's one of the few times where I wish I had watched less on it. You know,
Mhm.
I knew too much about it going in.
Yeah.
I do love it though. It's still great.
Yeah. One of the best uses of sound design I've ever seen in a video game. Um,
Well, they had that fucking microphone.
yeah, and it's just now that I'm in my mid-30s, there aren't very many games that like I consider to be like wholly unsettling or like overwhelming
Yeah.
in the way that Hellblade was for me, and it was equal parts unpleasant and amazing.
Yeah.
Um, because you play the game with your headphones on, you hear those voices on in like on either side. It's just like it's overwhelming, but it's just like
It is this generation's best, best reason for playing a game with headphones. You
Yeah.
know, I know a lot of people like they only play with headphones, right? And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that never do.
yeah,
And like this is a game that like you're doing yourself wrong if you don't play with headphones. You
Yeah.
know,
yeah.
that's for sure. But
And that's one of the like we talked earlier about games that we want people to play,
yeah,
and games that we want people to like to see and everything. And Hellblade is a game that I've wanted a lot of people to play.
I thought the Dark Rot was like even though it was eventually found to be fake,
Yeah.
the fact that put that thought there, because Hellblade is a game where I did not die,
Yeah.
but like you worry about it more,
Sure.
and that doesn't exist in video games now. That existed in every video game when we were kids,
Yeah.
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 But that doesn't exist in video games now.
Yeah, because like when we were growing up, you dying in a video game meant
Right.
you started the whole game over.
Right. So even though it wasn't real, the
Yeah.
fact that everybody thought it was real and that you worried about it going through it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really enjoyed, my time with that game, and I'm glad that it kind of just
But don't lie to me again.
don't
You know?
guys, you can't do that again.
Stop lying to me.
I don't know, because they're all they're more corporate now, so they might have to lie to you again.
Yeah, well, that's a whole separate conversation.
Yeah, they might have to lie to you again, Tom.
Yeah.
Sorry. But that was pretty much it.
Cacodemon's favorite game this generation was Doom,
Sure.
obviously.
Cacodemon. What did you think about Doom?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Shanee's was probably some fucking mobile game.
So
we'll get to that.
the funny thing, so here's interesting. The interesting thing is, I know for a fact that Shanee will never hear a single word that I'm about to say.
Right.
So, watch, she just walks in.
Hey guys.
So I think, let's say that she has 5 games,
Right.
right?
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts 2,
Right.
Kingdom Hearts 3.
No, it's definitely Kingdom Hearts 3 because we're talking about current generation, right?
Yeah, so Kingdom Hearts 3,
Right.
and then 4 Otomis.
Hold on.
I can't think of a game. Not a game.
You know, if you really liked Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle,
Sure,
if you really liked that game,
sure. I bet
maybe that one.
yeah.
Maybe she liked
Maybe
Breath of the Wild. a lot.
Yeah.
And you know what? I would put Breath of the Wild on my list as well.
Sure. That was a lot of people's first Zelda game.
Yeah.
It might be the first one that I finish.
You should finish it.
Yeah.
It's like it can be quite short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I really wish she was here. I really wish that she had been around. But well. Maybe she'll be here next time.
Perhaps.
So anyway, guys, thank you once again for being here and hanging out with us and listening to us talk about video games. It's always a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us, like Shanee would say, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. Not so much Twitter.
Check out our Instagram.
Yeah.
It's been popping off. By popping off, I mean very slowly, but like
There's been popping.
it's been growing more than any of our other social platforms.
Sure. It's nice to see.
Yeah.
Um,
If you're here from that, hello.
hello. I lost my train of thought.
Bye.
Oh yeah, we'll see you next time, guys.
Later.
Bye.